Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Bryan Martin, the Chief Technology Officer and Chairman of the Board at 8x8. Thanks for joining us, Bryan.
Oh yeah, thanks for joining with me today, Fred.
Well, give us some background so folks know a little bit about 8x8 to start with.
Yeah, so 8x8 is a cloud communications provider. We serve more than 60,000 businesses with everything from PBX replacement services, so you can get rid of your old phone system, to contact center, video meeting services, analytics, just everything a business needs to communicate in all different forms and flavors, even chat.
And you're out there with different flavors of your product too, aimed at businesses and consumers too.
Yeah, we sell a complete platform, but one of the ways people come into our service is by just selecting a certain function or feature that they need. So we might have a business that's got an old, aging, dying PBX that may not even be supported anymore, and they may start using us just for a voice, communications, tie their mobile users in. These days, work from home, video services, contact center, but we really provide the gamut, soup to nuts, on a single platform, so that you really begin to get synergies between how those services work together. You have a common corporate directory, a common shared presence, the ability to chat, whether it's an agent in a contact center needing to reach me, they can see my presence, they can see I'm available, they can chat, call directly. There's a lot of tight integration between all those different components, but we do sell them, in piecemeal parts if that's all you want to utilize. And video, certainly, we're seeing a lot of that demand these days.
Sure, and there are options to use 8x8 for free as well. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so we re-platformed our video technology in the fall of 2018. We acquired an open source team that's called Jitsi. So you can go to the open source site at jitsi.org. And as an open source provider, and at 8x8 being its biggest sponsor, we publish everything that's at the core of what we do in video communications. And so there's a service out there called Jitsi Meet that you can use for free, and 8x8's got its own branded version of that is at 8x8.vc. You just take any WebRTC enabled browser over to that site and spin up a service for free. And then if you register with us, you give us your email, which enables our marketing magic to start working on you. You get more features. And then, of course, we have an enterprise edition of the product that's bundled into the core enterprise services that we sell and support. And from a compliance perspective, if you need HIPAA certification, if you're in telemedicine, or you need PCI certification, you're in retail or online selling, 8x8 provides that as part of the enterprise version of it. So that's kind of how we make money when you have a free version of the product that people can just start using, but then need more.
Well, on that subject, security, of course, is a major concern. It's been in the news lately with with some of your rivals, especially. So tell us what it is that you're doing. You made an announcement actually this week.
Yeah. Well, again, it starts with the fact that we're open source. So from a transparency perspective and knowing what is actually in the software, things like are we secretly sending something to Facebook or some unauthorized person? There's transparency from having that open source. Then you graft the open source onto what is already an enterprise grade set of voice services that is really what 8x8 as a company is known for providing around the world. And what we announced yesterday was trying to take what's called end-to-end encryption of video services to the next level. And what I mean by that is the way these modern video platforms route the media, the actual video and voice that's part of the conference, they are routing that to a central video bridge or video router is what you can kind of think of it. And our platform here is based on WebRTC, which is a technology that's largely sponsored by Google, also an open platform. And WebRTC has the advantage that you don't have to download a client, so that you can just use this native to a WebRTC enabled browser like Chrome. And that's a huge advantage because that enables anyone to instantly come into a video meeting. It's not the old days where it's like, oh, I got to do this giant download and I got to wait for the install, and maybe 30 minutes later I'll be part of a video call and maybe not. This is literally anyone can join the conference. And one of the limitations in WebRTC originally was it supports very deep encryption, SRTP encryption using DTLS, but it only supports it hop to hop. And so that video bridge, that video router in the middle actually has access to the underlying data. In 8x8's case, that video bridge is being hosted by us. So if you trust us not to look at your data, and obviously many of our enterprise clients do, you're fine. But there's still that notion that the data exists somewhere, and maybe someone, a bad actor, could be doing something with that. So in the Jitsi open source world, the solution to that was, if you're really worried about not trusting your service provider, you would host your own Jitsi instance. You would host your own video bridge on hardware and servers that you controlled and you knew were secure. And that option is still out there. But what we announced yesterday and published to the open source community to get the feedback from all these developers is a proposal of how to do true end-to-end encryption. So even 8x8 being the provider in the middle would not have access to the raw voice and video data. And we're working on getting that feedback in so that we can now go implement this and share it with the world as to how we're doing this, so that you don't have to worry about your service provider anymore. And that's a huge leap forward because no one in the space has true end-to-end encryption, including our competitors, and we've just published the world's first proposal on how to do that.
What should consumers and businesses perhaps know when it comes to video conferencing and making sure that some third party isn't going to jump in on their conference and start showing stuff that you don't want to be there?
Yeah, a lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is just around using complex names for the name of your bridge. You'll notice when you join a meeting at 8x8.vc, we can either generate a random meeting name for you, which is obviously going to be secure, but you're allowed to choose your own. And so if you just go and type in test or Brian's cocktail hour or something super simple, that's going to be easily guessed by people out there, and you're going to have strange people in your room with you because I think of the test URL, we see 500 random meetings a day that people are just typing test and going in, and of course lots of people do that. So really strong naming. It's the same thing as how you choose a password, right? You don't use welcome123 or password as your password. You need to name your meetings, and then always use a PIN code to secure them, and that just adds to that salting of what you're doing to make sure that someone from the outside can't figure out what you're using. Beyond that, it's I think end-to-end encryption will take this a step further. But honestly, we see right now in this environment, telemedicine, like I said, banking, certainly government, all sorts of organizations trusting both the Jitsi open source as well as 8x8's own enterprise grade platform to solve those security problems for them.
Terrific. So what should people know about 8x8? What sets you apart from the competition?
Yeah, so open source, so complete transparency, really some of the world's best voice and video. As we're all experiencing, not all networks are created equal, especially home networks. And so you want a platform that can make sure the voice, number one, goes through seamlessly. We learned long ago when we pioneered the world of video conferencing, a good video conference is always determined by the quality of the voice. You can put up with video that pauses or is jittery or goes in and out in terms of its frame rate, but if the underlying voice isn't good, people will not have a good experience in that video conference. And so I think voice quality of what we provide, and then the global reach of the platform. We're supporting right now on 8x8.vc 50 different languages, 55 different countries with dial-in and toll-free PSTN connection. So if you are a student that doesn't have access to internet at home, you can still dial in to your classroom and hear the lesson that way. That's kind of core to what we do and how we differentiate there. And then security and compliance, is always top of mind at 8x8. Always has been from day one.
Well, we can tell that you're global because you've got China right behind you. For our radio listeners, there's a China cabinet right behind Bryan. So tell me about the increase in usage that you've seen with the coronavirus. I mean, everybody's working from home. So many people are video conferencing. That's the office today for so many people, and for family gatherings.
That's right. Yeah, it's social as well. So, it's unfortunate. It took a global pandemic, but I've spent my entire career trying to get mass adoption of two-way video communications, and it's something we've always looked to. We launched 8x8.vc, right at the end of the year, so the timing was perfect. We went from a couple 100,000 monthly active users, and these are unique users, right? So if I attend 10 meetings a day, I get counted as one, not 10 in that number. So we went from hundreds of thousands of users to this morning, I think we were approaching 12 million monthly active users. And it's all occurred, as you said, because, and we saw it early on in Europe, in Italy in particular, as the classes had to move to a teach from home kind of mechanism. Hospitals needed to connect patients that couldn't be visited with their relatives, and so they turned to a tablet. And again, this all relies on that WebRTC, where I don't need a special piece of software. I don't have to download anything. I can just get on a web browser and know that I'll be able to connect to the person. We stood up a great site, which anyone can go to at the number 8, letter X, number 8, .com/live, LIVE. And that's tracking our usage. It's tracking our social commentary we're getting in from around the world. You'll see social commentary getting tweeted in many languages. And we combine both the Jitsi feed and the 8x8 kind of enterprise feed into that. And it's heartwarming to see in some of the stories we've seen. So unfortunate circumstances, but really glad that we had the right solution at the right time to enable these great outcomes for the very difficult times that these folks are in.
Yeah, it's amazing. I complained about the internet connectivity not being all that it should be sometimes, but it's amazing that it's held up as well as it has for so many of us.
Yeah,
and services like yours.
Super interesting, because the internet, again, I think it's doing great, but that is what it was built for. It's a network that knows how to heal itself when there are issues on it. As you know, we're interconnected to more than 50 phone carriers around the world, just the traditional copper PSTN providers, and the strain on that network, including some, even in the US, the mobile network in some areas, it's under tremendous strain. The amount of work from home has really driven the capacity to the brink there. And if you're a fixed copper provider, you can't just spin up more AWS instances to cope with that. You've got physical switch limitations. So I do think this has exposed the power of the internet as a communications tool.
Do you think that some of the changes that we're seeing with video conferencing and this connectivity are going to be long-term?
I absolutely do. I really believe we're going to come out the other side of this working in a completely different way. And it's because everyone, as you said, has been forced to learn how to use a soft phone, whether it's their mobile phone, whether it's a computer screen. We can't reach the plastic that's sitting on our desks back at work. And as you said, socially, we can't visit with family members by picking up the same tools we used to use. So I think this is forcing an education of using the internet as your primary communications device. And I really see that fundamentally changing the way we work and play, even when we are allowed to go outside and go back to the office.
And I guess we're learning that it's perfectly okay if a toddler runs around behind you or a cat jumps up on your desk.
Yeah, I've got a Labrador that sleeps unless there's a squirrel or something that gets his attention, and so I'm guilty of that. We haven't solved that problem yet. I think that's a new application our AI and machine learning folks will get on, is automatically detect that there's barking in the background or a kid screaming and remove it from the outgoing audio. So yeah, all sorts of new kind of applications that this situation is exposing.
Well, hey, maybe that's not a problem. Maybe that's just life. So where can people go to get more information and to give it a try?
Yeah, so 8x8.vc is the site where the conferencing and the free conference is available, and you can give it a try. We don't put time limits on it. It's completely free. You don't have to give us your email. Our corporate site, if you're looking for solutions working from home for your business, is 8x8.com. And then for the hackers in your audience, please take a look at the specs we stood up yesterday, and that's at jitsi.org, JITSI.org.
Terrific. Bryan Martin, stay healthy, and thank you so much for taking the time with us.
Yeah, you too, Fred. Thank you.